Hello class, this is your teacher Mr. McDougall with your first tutorial in Unit 6 Premiere Pro. We're going to be getting used to the Premiere Pro workspace with Adobe. It will be very similar to Photoshop, and just like Photoshop, we're going to spend this first couple of assignments getting used to the software and the interface of the entire program. So as usual with exercises and classwork, I have exercise files for you to download. Just like in Photoshop, you'll download them the same way. I'll give you a quick little refresher because these will be larger files. When you click that, it will look like this because they are large video files. They're much larger than pictures, but you'll still download them the same way. Open a new window, click the download button, and then you'll see this from time to time just saying again that the files are really large is all that's saying. So just click download anyway. It won't be able to show you preview. Video files are much bigger. It'll take a second to download. It'll pop up right there, but it'll download all the same as we do before. So let's go to our folder, let's go to our downloads. We can see the zip file right here. Let's extract it like we normally do. And we'll put it into a project folder. So let's open our Google Drive. Let's make a new folder called Premiere Pro just to keep it organized, but I'm still in my Intro to Graphics folder. So make sure you open your Intro to Graphics folder. Create a folder in there like we always do for the exercise files. It is critical that you have a exercise folder for your files because there's a lot more to save than we do in Photoshop. So let's name it, and let's put our exercise files in there. All right, so here we are, and again I want to repeat myself because it's very important that you have a folder inside your Intro to Graphics folder for your exercise files. Don't just throw the exercise files in there randomly because we're going to add a lot more to it. So make sure you are not skipping this step of adding a new folder for your files because it's very critical to how the saving process works. And I'll show you what that means right now. So let's open Premiere Pro, which is the PR one. Should be down here in your taskbar. If it's not pinned to your taskbar, open your Windows, go to All Apps, and find Adobe Premiere Pro right here. Right click and do pin to taskbar, so it'll pop up down here at the bottom. So this is Premiere Pro. It might be very intimidating at first, but once we get started you'll see how similar it is to Photoshop and you'll start to feel right at home. So for this one, every time we're going to create a new project. So at the beginning of all of these, for every time we have a new assignment, we're going to do a new project. We'll only open a project if we have already started one. So it's not like Photoshop where you open files. You need to create a new project to bring your files into. So we're always going to start with new project. And this part, again, very critical. Make sure you're doing this part correctly. You will always need to do this when you create a new project. You need to give it a name. So just give it the same name as the assignment as we normally do. Whatever the assignment name is, Premiere Pro Workspace, just give it the same name. It just keeps it simple. The second most important thing is the location because it's going to create a project file and we need to tell it where to save. That's why we made that folder. Tell it to save in your project folder that you just made a moment ago. So where it says location, click the drop down and do choose location and go to your drive, your Intro to Graphics folder, and choose that folder that you just made right here, this one. Don't save it in the exercise file folder. So don't save it in here. Just save it in the folder that you made a moment ago. So click save. And the last thing is to check this box right here for skip import mode. Make sure that is turned on right there. We don't want to go into the import mode. We just need the name, the location. This is skipped, and now we can hit create. So when you first open up Premiere Pro, it will look like this. By default, yours is most likely on this learning workspace where it has these tutorials and all these things. However, we don't need that. We're going to skip that for right now. So the very first thing you need to do before you start editing, when it's your first time getting onto Premiere Pro, go up here to Window, Workspaces, and this will be just like when we did Photoshop. We want our workspace to look the way we need. So come over to Workspaces, and you want to be on this one that says Editing. So click Editing to go to this page. This will be the main way we have our layout for Premiere Pro. There's lots of windows to work on, but we will be on editing 99% of the time. Very rarely will we need to switch between these. We don't need all panels, we don't need learning. We'll go to a couple other ones, but 99% of the time just live here in the editing one. And to save you space, you can move these panels around. You see in between where these black lines are right here, if you move your mouse, you can stretch them out. If you want your timeline to be bigger or smaller, you can spread these out however you want. And just like in Photoshop as well, you might accidentally grab these panels and start moving them. So I just put the history panel right there, the libraries one. This might happen on accident where you just start shifting things around. But just like in Photoshop, we can fix it the same way. Go back up to Window, Workspaces, and come down to Reset. Just click this Reset Save Layout. Boom. Everything will go back to normal just like that. Okay, so everything will be fine. The only thing we need to start worrying about is this media bin right here. So this is where we're going to import our files. So there's various ways that you can import files. The easiest way, in my opinion, I'll have you do it this way because it's just the simplest, is we're just going to drag and drop our exercise folder right in here. So let's open our folder with our exercise files. Let's fix that for a second. There we go. There it is. All right. Sometimes it has trouble opening. There we go. So this whole folder with the exercise files, just drag this whole folder right in here. Ta-da, just like that. So now if I click, it's already condensed in its own folder. And I can click and see all of the video files that I've given you. I've given you 10 exercise files to work with. A really cool thing right here is that if you just hover your mouse over the video clip, I'm not pressing anything, I'm just moving my mouse left and right over the clip. This is called scrubbing, and it's just giving you a little preview of what the clip looks like. So I can see this one is this rocket taking off, this one is this person typing and using their watch, basketball. I can just hover my mouse back and forth, and if I go this way, it plays it backwards. That's called scrubbing. So there's different ways you can view it. You can also change the view. If yours is not in this thumbnail mode, you can come over here to this list view. You can switch between here, these two different ones. So I could see this is the list mode with videos 1 through 10, and then I could see that there's the thumbnail one right here. So you can view it either way, but this is how it gets laid out. So to start editing, we are going to start bringing our clips onto the timeline right here. If I want to get another closer preview of a video, I can double click on it. That brings it up here. This is just your preview monitor. This is your source monitor where it just shows you what the clip looks like to get a closer look. I can move it around right here with this blue playhead. So like this I can click and drag back and forth to see it, or I can just click the play button and it will play normally so I can see what the clip actually looks like. Very cool. Rocket taking off in slow motion. When you're ready to add it, we just need to take our first clip. So the first thing I want you to do is pick any 5 of the clips. I give you a total of 10. Pick any 5 to start with, and you're going to start dragging them onto this timeline right here. So do it one at a time. I'll start with this one, video 1. I'm going to click and hold my mouse, and I'm just going to come over here to the timeline and just let go of my mouse, drop it right in. So this is where all the magic happens. 99% of your editing will be here on the timeline. This shows how long your video is as it plays. Here, so this is the very beginning. All the way to the left is the beginning of a clip. Just like when you're watching a YouTube video or any kind of video, it starts the playhead at the left and it plays this way as the video goes on until it gets to the right, which is the very end. This is the same way. I can come over here, I can click play. If you don't see the play button, you will have the space bar to play. If you tap the space bar, that will play and pause the video. So if I hit the space bar, it plays. And if I hit the space bar again, it will pause. So there's a couple things to keep in mind. This shows you the time length right here. I could see this in seconds. So this is 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And this shows my total length of the video clip right here. My entire sequence is 17 seconds, as I could see. All right. So there's a lot to go over, and I'm just trying to explain what you're going to see right here. So pick any 4 more clips to start adding to the timeline. This time when you bring it in, let's say I want to bring in this one right here. I'm going to click and drag this one. You can see as I start bringing it in, I'm still holding my mouse. This one's video 2. Now it's asking me where I want to put it. So I want to keep them all on the same track, which is track V1 right here. This is video track 1. And I want to put them all next to each other so they're back to back. If I play it from here, you can see they're not back to back. There's this gap right here. So if I play the video, it's going to go black right here where there's no information. So if I hit play, it will play until it gets to the end of the clip right here, and then it will go black as there's nothing, and then it will go to the next clip, just like that. So we don't want any black spaces or dropped pixels, as we call it. So if you just click and drag your video clip over, they will magnetically snap over like that. So you don't have to worry about being precise. If you just get really close, it will lock in like that. So now if I play it, there will be no gaps between the two clips. So it just goes straight from one clip to the next as it crosses over right here on our timeline. We can scoot the timeline over to add our next clip by coming down here to this little slider bar. You can drag this way to see further down the line. You can also scroll with your mouse. If you're hovering over your timeline and you just scroll up and down with your mouse, that also lets you move side to side. So let's bring in a total of 5 clips. Any 5 clips that you want, just bring them all in back to back like this. I'm going to start with just these first 5, but you can bring them in any order that you would like. Perfect. If you accidentally start clicking buttons and stuff, like you're just clicking things and you're trying to drag this, if you're trying to drag this one and it's not magnetically clicking, see how I'm trying to do it but it's not doing the magnet, sometimes people accidentally click this right here. This is the snap timeline magnet. Make sure that's turned on and that will activate the magnetic snap to each clip. Perfect. So now I have a total of 5 clips on here. And again, I could see my total length of my video. Right now my video is at a minute and 1 second. So as it plays, I can see the total length of these clips going. I can drag this and scrub through it a little faster. I can scroll on my mouse to see all the way. You can see as I'm going back and forth, as I cross this line into the next clip, I can see how it goes to the next clip right there. You can also increase the size of your timeline. So right now I can't see the whole timeline. I have to scroll back and forth to see everything. You could zoom in and out with this slider right here too. If I click and hold my mouse over the edge where this little circle is, if I click and drag it to the right, I zoom out on the timeline. I'm not making the clip shorter. The clips are not becoming shorter. I'm just zooming out so I can see more of the timeline. And this one I could pinch to zoom in. So it's just like when you're looking at a photo or you're pinching and zooming, that's what you're doing. You're zooming in on the timeline. You're not making the clip shorter at all by dragging this in and out. The time length stays the same. See, it's still a minute and 1 second. Okay, perfect. So we'll do that for right now before we move on to the next part. So when you start adding clips to your timeline, what you'll notice now, if you look at your video clips, you have videos 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, everything I gave you. But now you'll notice that it says video 1 again. That is not a mistake. That is a sequence. You can see this little thumbnail icon right here. See how it says sequence when I hover it? What it does, whenever you start adding a clip, it creates a sequence with the same name as the first clip that you used. If I go back to list mode, I can see all my video clip exercise files right here, except I have this one that looks different. See, this one also says video 1. This is the video 1, which is this rocket. This video 1 is different. This is the sequence. This is this whole thing is what this is talking about. So if I rename this, it renames the sequence. So come over here, click on it once, and then click on it again to rename it, and we're going to rename it sequence 1 and then hit enter. When you rename sequence 1, it will change it up here. I typed in sequences 1. Let's fix that. There we go. So you'll see when I changed that name, it changed it right here. So this whole timeline is my sequence number 1. It's important to change the name so you don't get confused, because otherwise you'll have 2 files with the same name, but they are different file types. Okay, now that we have started our clip, now we're going to save and close it so you can learn how to save a project and come back to it. So go up to File and make sure you save it, or Control S is the shortcut. It's very important that you hit Control S a lot as you're editing just to make sure your project saves. So now it's been saved, so if I close the project, that everything will be exactly the way it was. So let's go to File and now Close Project. So now it's shut down. It takes us back to the home page, but we did save it. So we can open it up right here. You can see Premiere Pro Workspace. This is our most recent project. If I click on it, you should have to click on it once, but sometimes you have to double click on it to open it back up. It just depends. There it goes. I clicked on it 3 times. Sometimes you have to click on it a few times, and you'll see it open back up exactly where we left off. The project file that you created is this purple file right here. This purple file is the project file. If I go back to the home page, That's what this is right here, the project that we're working on. If this file goes away, if this purple project disappears, the entire project is lost. So make sure you don't ever get rid of or delete this purple file that is your project one. That is everything saved. All right, so now that we've done that, I want you to add the remaining clips in any order that you would like. So now you've started with 5, take the remaining 5, whichever ones you haven't used yet, and start adding them all to the timeline back to back to back. You'll see this one has sound, but don't worry about that for right now. We'll get into sound later. So add all of the clips so you have a total of all 10 in any order that you want. You can move the order around. If you just move these around, you can shift them. I can move this one over here. Say I want these to switch places, I can do that. Be careful when you're dragging them. If you put them right over each other, you will delete part of the video. So see right here, I have this part of the basketball right there, right when the ball comes into the hoop. If I take this clip and I put it right over it like that, I've just deleted that part of the clip right there. So if I try to move it back, it's gone. So now I've just deleted it. So be careful with that. But as always, just like in the other programs, your best friend, Control Z. Control Z, Control Z. Everything goes back to normal exactly the way it was. So now that we have all of our clips on here, we are going to start cutting it down. Because right now with all 10 clips, our video is at 2 minutes, and that is way too long. So now we're going to start trimming it. We want our total length of the video to be 15 seconds. Right here, it says trim down each clip until your entire video is only 15 seconds long. So the way we trim the video clip is by grabbing the edges. So just take the most important few seconds of each clip. So let's say I want right here, I want where the rocket's taking off. The way you trim the clip is to drag it from the end. You see if I hover my mouse over this end, it turns into this red bookend looking thing. If I click and hold my mouse, I can drag the clip this way, and then I've trimmed the whole front clip. I did make the clip shorter, I cut off the whole front part. So let's go maybe about right there, taking off. So since we have 10 clips, you only want a second or two of each clip to make the video a total of 15 seconds. See, I've just made the clip shorter, and all I have now is the part with the rocket taking off. So that looks good. And go a little shorter. So do that with each one. Trim each clip so there's only a couple seconds of each one, and make sure they're all back to back like this. We don't want any gaps in between them. So take a minute to do that. I will do the same. And so everything's been trimmed for right now. And remember, we don't want any gaps. We want everything as far to the left as possible. So make sure your very first clip is all the way to the left right here. So the video clip starts immediately with the clip. If you don't have your videos all the way to the left like this, it's going to play for a few seconds of just black screen. So there's no data right here. If I play the video, it's going to play for a second with just black until it gets to the video clip. So make sure everything's all the way to the left. Each clip is all the way to the left, back to back. A shortcut to close these gaps right here, instead of dragging each clip over one at a time, if you click in between, so I click this empty space right here, hit the delete key on your keyboard, and it closes the gap for you. So if I click here, hit delete, click here, hit delete, just click in between and hit delete, it will start closing those gaps. Because you want 15 seconds. I can see that it's still too long. I have mine at about 28 seconds, so it still needs to be trimmed even further, even cut in half a little bit more. So you don't want it to be less than 15 seconds. We don't want it to be 10 seconds. We want it to be right around 15. If it's at 14 or 16, that's okay. Something like 14, 19, that's good. Somewhere around 15. So between 15, 14, or 16 seconds. So now I can see my entire clip is a very short 15-second clip. As it passes over between each clip, you can see how the changes in the video up here as it goes through each one, until it gets to the very end. When it gets to the very end, it just stops right there. So I'm at 14.19 seconds. So that's the length of my video right now. So the other thing I want you to practice is we're going to color correct. I'm going to hit Control S to save. Control S, so now I've saved it. It's a really good idea to just frequently hit that Control S button. Just Control S every minute or so. because on occasion the computer will freeze or crash or the program will shut down, and it's just safe. As long as you're hitting Control S over and over again, you can always go back to finishing your project where you last saved it. All right, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to color correct each of these videos. We're going to keep it simple. Color correcting can be a difficult process, but it is crucial, and we're just going to do it the easy way to get started. So one thing, a window that we're going to add, we're going to come over here to Window. We're not going to change our workspace, but these are windows that we can turn on and off. The ones that are checked are being shown, and the ones that aren't are just hidden temporarily. So the one we're going to add at the end of each edit is this Lumetri color. Click on Lumetri color, and yours might look something like this. You'll see this Lumetri color one pop up over here. We want it to be on this basic correction. So whatever tab you have open, if you have one of these like curves or something else is open, just come over here to open the basic correction. And you'll see it's grayed out because I don't have a clip selected yet. Even though I have my playhead, this is called your CTI, by the way, the current time indicator. It just tells you what time you're at in the video. So it tells you if I write here, I'm at 0.12 seconds. So we call it CTI, or you can call it the playhead, whichever you prefer. But if I click on this video clip now, you can see how this gets highlighted. Now it becomes available. If I don't have anything selected, it doesn't do anything. So click here. Right now, this is your color correction. This might look very similar to Lightroom and Photoshop. You can see there's color temperature, exposure, contrast, all the stuff that we usually play with to control the exposure and the lighting. However, we're not going to do any of that stuff right now because it would take forever to do it on each clip. So what I want you to do is click this auto button. Just click auto, and you can see what happens is it just changes it slightly depending on the clip. It made the shadows a little darker, the sky a little bluer, and it looks pretty good. So now we're going to do that for each clip. Move your playhead over to the next clip, to the basketball one. But be careful on this part. If you just move it over and I click auto again, you'll see that it didn't do anything. That is because I haven't actually highlighted the clip. I moved the playhead over, but you can see the highlight is still on the first clip. I have to come over and click this one, and then I could do the auto. And now it will change this clip. So not only move the playhead over, the CTI, but also click on the clip, so the Lumetri color knows to edit that one. Click auto, so I'll do that one. We're just going to do that for each clip. They all will look slightly different, but we're just going to have that auto color correct help us out. So do that for each one. Move the playhead over, click on the clip to highlight it, and then click the auto. Whatever order and length your video clips are in, just do that for every single one of them. Some of them you might not notice a big change, some of it will be subtle, but do it anyway, because it is a crucial detail. There we go. Okay, perfect. So we always color correct at the very end of any video that we edit. Whenever we're editing, we save that step for the very end because you don't want to color correct at the beginning and then you end up changing some clips and then deleting clips and adding new ones, because then you'll have to color correct again. It's better to just save it for the very end so you only have to do it one time. All right, I'm going to hit Control S again to save, because it's just a good habit to get into. Now we are going to export our video to turn it in. Every single project you will need to export your video because that's the only way I will be able to view it. It's not like Photoshop. You will not take a screenshot. That's not going to help me. I need to watch that you did the video correctly with the correct motion and animation. So every bit of classwork and project we do in this unit will be an exported video. It's very easy to do. Just come up here where it says export and leave it as sequence 1. The file name will be whatever the name of your sequence. So make sure you have renamed it to sequence 1 if you haven't already. And just like in Photoshop, when you export, it asks you, where does the file need to go? Where do you want me to export this video clip to? Make sure it says the same project folder. If it doesn't say your Premiere Pro Workspace folder from earlier, click on that to change it. Make sure you click on it. Make sure you go to your Intro to Graphics folder and you put it in this Premiere Pro Workspace one. Don't put it in the exercise files one, just put it in the one we made earlier. Click save, and then you have to finish it by clicking this big blue export button. You don't have to change anything else on here, just the two most important things are name and location. Always name and location. Know what the file's called and where to find it. Click export. It'll take just a second. The amount of time it takes to export will change depending on the length of your video. Our early ones will be very short, so it will export quickly. As we get into longer videos, it might take a minute or two before it exports. So now, I go back to my file folder and my project folder, I can see this is my video file right here. This is what you're turning in, this video clip. You can tell it has the little VLC traffic cone. That means it's a video clip. This is what you're turning in. If I click on this to play it, I can see now it's going to play my full video exactly as I edited it. Perfect. Looks good. Nice. So congratulations, you just edited your first video using Premiere Pro. Well done. We can close that. Again, this is what you're turning in. Just like in Photoshop, do not turn in this project file. If you turn in this, I cannot do anything. This is not something I can watch. If you turn in this, you will get 0 points because it is incorrect. Always turn in the video file, and that's what you'll put right here. When you're done, make sure you've saved it, and then you can close your project and close Premiere and start shutting down. As always, have fun and let me know if you have any questions.